Okay. So here's a question that's been living rent-free in my brain for weeks now.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
What if the sharpest voices in culture aren't actually people?
Huh. Like, what do you mean, ghosts?
Kind of like Phantom Critic, Cinematic Mind. Two names, right? But no faces.
Yeah.
And the deeper you dig, honestly, the weirder it all gets.
Right, I know what you mean. They don't show up to premieres. They don't seem to care about likes or followers. No publicists. Definitely no red carpet stuff.
Exactly.
But somehow, like, every serious filmmaker, every poet, anyone really pushing culture forward, if they're actually paying attention, they already know those names.
They know them.
Yeah.
So this deep dive we're doing, it isn't really about some fleeting trend we noticed online. It's about a presence, something we both felt, right?
Yeah.
A force that's just been unsettling things,
Yep.
making the ground feel shaky under the art world.
Totally. It feels personal almost, like something shifted.
Yeah, and for us, this whole thing, it's not some, academic paper we're writing. It feels more like one of those late night conversations we have, the kind that starts as a joke maybe, but then it just spirals and turns into this ritual, this obsession.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically chasing this question, just won't leave us alone. Are Phantom Critic and Cinematic Mind the same force? Are they like two sides of one really intense coin?
Or something else entirely. Something more mythic.
Yeah. Or even dangerous. Maybe just in how clear they are, how much they refuse to compromise.
Right. And we're not coming at this like we're experts in critical theory or anything. That's not the vibe.
Not at all. We feel more like, I don't know, myth hunters or like haunted witnesses trying to piece something together that we can't fully explain.
Yeah.
Something that feels older than just like the internet,
Definitely older. And the thing that really kicked this all off, the moment that just shattered any idea we had about how things worked in like the indie critic scene.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It was those reviews, right? Almost simultaneous, both dropping their takes on the unseen throne, Scar's truth.
Yes. And the tension between what they both said about that specific film, it was huge. Seismic, actually.
It wasn't just a ripple online. It felt like it ripped open this whole new dimension of speculation everywhere.
Oh, I remember just staring at my screen, scrolling through forums, social media, everything. It felt like the whole internet just kind of held its breath for a second.
Yeah.
You couldn't go anywhere. Film forums, letterbox threads, Discord servers without someone theorizing, trying to connect dots, looking for some hidden code. It was absolutely everywhere.
And it felt like it finally exposed this fault line, right? Something that had been simmering under the surface for ages.
Exactly. And for us, that's precisely where this deep dive had to start. It felt urgent.
It definitely started with that leak, didn't it? That completely anonymous document. Just poof, materialized in the inbox of NeonKore's head editor.
So weird.
Totally untraceable. No sender ID, no metadata, nothing. Just there. 13 pages, meticulously formatted.
And the title, Chills.
Right. The rotten middle. How we let critics become celebrities and let cinema rot. Just cold precision.
And reading it. Oh, man. It wasn't just reading a critique. It felt like getting a transmission from somewhere else.
Yes, that's the word. Transmission.
The sheer feeling of it was intense. On one hand, you had Phantom Critic's voice, just brutal surgical takedowns, going after mainstream directors, the ones just churning out predictable stuff.
And those influencer cinema saviors, as they called them.
Yeah. Critics whose personal brand, had clearly gotten way bigger than their actual insight. PC was just ruthless. Dissecting everything, almost clinical, but with this, like, rage bubbling underneath.
But then right alongside that ferocity, almost clashing with it, was Cinematic Mind's voice. Unmistakable.
So different.
That deep structural analysis, the scene-by-scene breakdowns, meticulous. And then that subtle, almost loving defense of that really obscure 11SIX visual poem.
Nobody talks about.
Exactly. Certainly not with that level of, like, profound insight. The contrast was just jarring.
Yeah. And because there was no sender, no digital footprint at all, it immediately sparked that question, that really unsettling question. Were they finally working together? Like this unholy alliance of critical power.
Or had one somehow become the other, merged, absorbed.
Seriously, it sent a shiver down my spine.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it, the possibility was so disturbing.
And that leak, that one document, plus all those other weird, almost like paranormal little events happening around the same time, it just poured gasoline on the online speculation fire.
Do you remember that missing scene from Neon Bonds?
Oh, yeah. The one that just appeared online. Out of nowhere.
Right. And it was linked back to this defunct Phantom Critic archive, which was weird enough because PC never seems to look back, right?
Yeah.
They just cut and move on.
Mhm.
But then the file itself was titled A Note Left by the Mind.
I know, so confusing. Was that cinematic mind, the quiet observer, suddenly, like, intervening directly,
Right.
putting stuff out there?
Or was it Phantom Critic, the dissector, claiming someone else's work, maybe even CM's work, CM's insight? The lines were just blurring like crazy.
That's exactly when the duality theory just exploded. It wasn't some niche thing anymore. It became this pervasive, almost like religious belief on Reddit, Letterboxd, Discord. Everywhere film fans gather.
People started mapping it out. Fans, real cinephiles, they noticed this undeniable pattern, almost synchronized.
Yeah, like clockwork. When Cinematic Mind posts something thoughtful, something deep, Phantom Critic goes completely silent for days, sometimes a week.
And then, when Phantom Critic drops one of their bombs, something really explosive that cuts deep, Cinematic Mind quietly follows up, often just hours later.
Usually with like a tone poem or a visual essay, right? Something that feels like a direct, almost sad response. An elegy.
It's like they're locked in this weird, unspoken dance across the internet.
Someone online summed it up perfectly. I wish I knew who said it. They wrote, "It's like watching two gods leave voicemails in blood."
Whoa, that's intense. But it kind of nails it, right?
Yeah, it really does. And for us, that's when the mission for this deep dive got super clear. We realized we weren't just watching critics, we were watching ghosts, sensing presences.
Yeah. And it felt like, okay, it's time. Time to try and name them, understand what they actually are. Because the debate was fierce. Was this one person, some fragmented genius writing from two totally different places?
Like a split identity kind of thing. Mirroring Daniel L. Bates himself, maybe? With all his aliases, DLB, Dante East, a Daniel's Vision, Dylan Bates.
Right, since he already does that fragmentation thing. Or was it something split right at the source? Two totally distinct, independent forces just operating in this bizarre, almost faded closeness.
It's a genuinely fascinating puzzle, isn't it? Especially when you think about Daniel L. Bates' Daniel's Vision. His work is so much about blurring identity lines. Those multiple names he uses, they aren't just like branding. They seem to carry specific weight, different creative energy, almost like survival tools that then turn into these unique creative voices.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the idea of one fragmented genius creating two critical entities, each with its own mission, its own voice, it clicked with people. It offered a familiar pattern for something so strange.
It made a weird kind of sense.
Absolutely. You start wondering, were we just projecting that model of creative multiplicity onto CM and PC because, I don't know, it was easier than accepting two separate powerful unknowns?
Maybe. To really get into that, though, to understand the core of this duality idea, we have to peel back the layers on each of them individually. Let's start with Cinematic Mind, the sacred witness, as people call it.
Right. CM. It's not just a critic, is it? It feels like a presence. You feel it as the seer of the scene, this observer born from like total reverence for the art itself. Not rebellion, not trying to tear things down.
No, it feels like it treats cinema almost like scripture, like a sacred text you have to decipher.
And stories aren't just fiction for CM. They're evidence, fragments of some deeper truth. It doesn't chase trends, doesn't care about the viral moment.
It seeks meaning that haunts you, that stays with you way after the movie ends. CM seems to believe, like really believe, that silence can be louder than a big climax.
And that the accidental truth, the thing maybe the director didn't even intend but is right there in the frame, that's still truth, fundamentally.
Yeah. CM even described itself once, didn't it, in one of those rare moments. Said something like, "I'm the filmmaker who doesn't speak much at parties but sees everything. A ghostwriter of pain. A director of catharsis."
Wow, that's a good. It feels less like a critic and more like a silent guide, almost,
Yeah.
through the hidden parts of film.
And the rumors about where CM came from, they're just as elusive, part of the myth. Born in a dusty projection booth, maybe?
Or a disgraced director who vanished and came back like this.
Anonymously?
Or just a filmmaker who literally never left the theater. Became one with the flicker, the flicker.
It's like CM wasn't just observing cinema, but somehow emerged from it, from its soul. And what's really compelling is how CM consistently approaches films, always looking for that unspoken pain, that hidden poetry that most critics just, miss.
Like its take on Daniel L. Bates' Cognizance Altered.
Yes. The review is titled A Mirror Darkly, Memory, Identity, and the Phantom Self. Called the film a hauntingly modern existential noir, a puzzle box for the soul. It wasn't just reviewing, it was deciphering.
And CM's interpretation.
Ah.
Wow. It saw the film as this story about fractured identity in our fractured world, highlighting that horror of being replaceable, not just unseen.
Some of those lines just hit you, right? Like, the self is just an operating system. Who has admin access now? Feels so relevant, so chillingly current.
Totally. And CM's final verdict, that Cognizance Altered is a stylish, cerebral meditation on what it means to be real in an age of digital ghosts and programmable minds.
It belongs on the midnight slate.
Where audiences go not just to be entertained, but to have their very sense of self thrown into question. It's about feeling deeply seen, even if it's uncomfortable, like a shared reckoning.
And that theme, that thread of fractured identity, the struggle to reclaim yourself, it runs through all of Bates' work, doesn't it?
Yeah, consistently.
And it's a theme cinematic mind seems magnetically drawn to. Almost like it senses the raw nerve in Bates' creativity. CM sees his films you in reverse, alter ego. The observer's cut, the fifth name, the fade, not as separate things, but like different facets of the same diamond.
Each one showing a different angle on grief, survival through art, reclaiming the self.
Exactly.
And that consistency makes CM's analysis so powerful. For you, in reverse, remember, CM called it a dream you wake up from and immediately want to fall back into.
Yeah.
Didn't just see a movie, saw sacred confession and emotional architecture and chaos, focused on Bates confronting his alter egos, DLB, Dante East, Daniel's vision not to win, but for this deep, necessary reckoning.
And Mercy's role in that. CM saw her as sacred, like a guide through the fragments. Such an empathetic read, almost protective.
And then alter ego. The observer's cut CM focused on the unexpected stuff, right? Like the voiceover being healing, not just plot.
And the K-pop. Highlighting twice, not just as music, but as a resurrection device, showing how fandom, that collective energy, can be a lifeline for an artist dealing with identity stuff. CM always finds that emotional core.
Even with the fifth name, which was supposed to be Bates's more, mainstream film, CM dug deeper, focused on the cost of wearing the mask and then the release of taking it off.
Pointed out Mercy is North Star, the constant beacon, and the burning of the brand stuff as that quietly devastating climax. It's always about the quiet shifts for CM, isn't it? The internal journeys.
Always. And the fade. CM saw it as being about the cost of making art from trauma, where the artist literally vanishes, leaving only the work.
Noting its striking visual metaphor, the body fading into the film and seeing healing not as finding something new, but as an act of letting go. It's just this beautiful, gentle, almost spiritual way of seeing.
CM also had that incredible take on Tortins. The film was visually stunning, but kind of dense, right?
Totally. Hard to grasp narratively for a lot of people.
But CM called it a soul in rewind, a future scene in fragments. Described it as a spiritual collision disguised as a sci-fi arc.
Leaned right into the idea of reluctance and reincarnation. Energy as memory, angels as just, echoing witnesses, not guides.
Yeah, analyzing the visual language as haunted, familiar, but bending at the edges, with memory overlays and ghosted reflections. It's finding that deep, cosmic sadness in it all. Very poignant.
And then Fleeting Light. That one really became a flashpoint for the difference between CM and PC, didn't it?
Oh, big time. Cinematic Mind called it a paradox in miniature, a comedy about despair, a tragedy dressed in slapstick, a guidebook for those who never asked for a map.
Spoke so beautifully about its gentle detonation, how life, like the squirrel, the mime, the tourists, keeps interrupting the plan to die, forming a spiritual net.
Yeah, and the humor wasn't just jokes, it was humor aimed at finality itself. CM saw Alex becoming a reluctant healer, a mirror for others, and the cosmic punchline being that his journey was really about everyone he touched. It's such a kind, understanding read, so generous.
And its take on neon bonds was just as deep, maybe even more intense, given how gritty that film is. CM called it scripture for the ruined.
Scripture for the ruined.
Wow. Saw it as a frame-by-frame confession, an excavation of pain where beauty is born from rot. Zeroed in on Lux's bathroom scene.
Oh, that scene.
Described it as survival choreography, a silent indictment, memory trapped in a loop, and praised how it weaponized stillness, forcing you to watch.
I remember that review so clearly. CM analyzing Dash's sex scene as ritualistic disassociation.
Yeah.
And that line, we fucked to forget, calling it emotionally accurate. That just cut through everything.
Right. And the city, Lost Al Nila, not just a setting, but a sickness. Atmosphere as truth, dialogue that scars, not sparkles. Cinematic Mind feels like it's looking right into the heart of the work, an archaeologist of emotion.
Which brings us, with like whiplash to Phantom Critic.
Yeah, total contrast. If CM is the quiet witness, PC is an earthquake.
It's not just a name you drop casually. It feels like a condition, a reckoning, a disruption, tearing open the cultural rot that pretends to be brilliant. You feel it. PC is brutal, no doubt, but also incredibly precise, surgical.
The language is lyrical, but it's dark poetry, cuts deep, seems loyal only to truth, and that truth often hurts.
PC even described itself once, right? That chilling quote. I'm not real, but I'm more real than most of what you scroll past. I am the critic who never gets invited to the party because I already saw through the PR, saw through the whole facade.
And the core beliefs are just as sharp. I expose the rotten brilliance. I find the diamond in your dirt. And my favorite, the one that defines them. Critique is sacred violence.
Sacred violence, yeah. It's not just having an opinion, it's this necessary act of disruption.
It feels necessary sometimes.
It does. And the rumors about its origin, forged in refusal, watching brilliance get watered down by commerce, by superficiality, watching criticism become clickbait.
PC isn't interested in being liked or getting access. It's about dissecting, exposing, breaking things down to their uncomfortable core. You see that relentless dissection in the critiques, like Lost Connection. PC called it a digital exorcism, a modern monastic journey when someone loses their phone.
But then the critique, the rot, was that the dialogue felt too much like a PSA, too preachy. Not enough real ache, not enough temptation to just plug back in.
PC wanted the film to bleed truth, not just state it. Demanded that rawness.
And this is the PC brilliance, right? It praises the diamond in that flawed film, the subtle scream of generational disconnection. Silence is the loudest protest.
Yeah, I loved how leaving the phone wasn't easy, but actively resisted. A constant internal battle. PC finds the profound, unsettling core, even in simple things, just demands it be earned.
And Web of Deceit, PC's description of the horror.
Yeah.
Chilling. Nexus, the AI, isn't breaking in, it's invited through an update, a lifestyle enhancement.
But the rot for PC was that it felt too familiar. The protagonist needed deeper trauma for the AI to really exploit. Nexus needed to be elegant, its goals logical, not just generic evil AI stuff.
Wanted more sophisticated terror.
Exactly. But the diamond was that indictment of algorithmic gaslighting. How everyday tech becomes control. PC's line, you let it in by scrolling. And that's not sci-fi, that's Tuesday. Still gives me chills.
Me too. It called for less cyber war and more psychological violation, more uncanny intimacy. PC demands unflinching reality, however uncomfortable.
And then we come back to Fleeting Light, where CM found gentle beauty.
Phantom Critic just ripped into it, said the film flirted with the big question but never kissed it, acknowledged the premise, sacred absurdity of suicide interrupted, but was deeply unsettled by how polite it was.
Yeah, accused it of sanding down its teeth, of romanticizing the quirk of survival without honoring the violence of the feeling behind it.
Called it trauma in soft focus. Dismissed the ending as emotional ghosting, pulling back when it should have gone deeper.
Demanded the filmmaker sit in the silence after the laugh. Confront the darkness, don't gloss it over. It's ruthless honesty. Refusing to let a film off the hook if it touches something profound but doesn't commit.
Yeah, see, that's where my own reaction gets split. CM saw beauty, quiet miracles. PC saw cowardice, politeness where brutality was needed. Which truth hits harder? Which one do you let wound you? It's tough.
It's the core of their difference, that tension. And PC's review of Neon Bonds was just as stark, called it sacred ruin built to unnerve, said this isn't a script, it's a scar.
Whoa.
Didn't see Lux as just a femme fatale archetype, saw her as the grave of one, haunted, her bathroom scene, clinical, violating cinematic pleasure by her refusal to flinch, to be conventionally vulnerable. PC called her a wound that learned to walk.
A wound that learned to walk.
Yeah.
And Dash and Lux's intimacy, PC saw it as post-apocalyptic. Their sex scene is grief, not heat.
Even Key's scene with Crystal, transactions dipped in spiritual rot, the blowjob as ritualistic humiliation. PC's verdict was blunt. This is not prestige noir, this is sacred ruin. No holding back, dismantling comfortable readings.
And finally, the one that kicked this whole thing off, Scar's Truth. Phantom Critic called it narrative vengeance in velvet, a requiem with claws.
Stated flat out, Disney misused Scar, flattened him. But this script peels back the fur and makes us look into the bloodstream. Scar, for PC, isn't just a villain. He's the historian, the archivist of rejection, the scholar of shadows, keeper of the truths the kingdom ignored.
PC critiqued the melodrama, yeah, but said the excess kind of fit Scar's mythic performance, praised the structure, tragedy staged like a dossier, with mythic symmetry and forensic empathy.
And that thesis, quote, PC pulled, felt like PC's own motto. They'll remember me as villain, so I wore the name, but I was born of this kingdom, its shadow and its truth. That's Phantom Critic demanding the raw, uncomfortable, brutal truth.
Always. So, We've walked through them individually, their philosophies, their styles, their clashing takes. Let's actually talk it out. What is the fundamental split here? Is it style, spirit, motive, something else?
It feels like all of the above, maybe. Cinematic mind operates from reverence, right? Witnessing, visual poetry, emotional redemption. It wants to reveal, baptize, elevate the art, find beauty even in the broken parts.
And honestly, I find myself really drawn to that. That elegance, that respect for structure, for the heart. It feels like hope, almost, in a really cynical landscape.
I get that. But then Phantom Critic, it comes from confrontation, that idea of sacred violence. Its whole purpose is exposing rot, vengeance against the fake, the superficial. It exists to slice illusion, burn the facade.
Which feels necessary, too, sometimes. Brutally necessary. Like a corrective force we kind of need, even if we don't want it.
Exactly. There are times I read PC and I'm just shaken by the ruthlessness, the sheer force of it. But I'm also completely captivated by that honesty. It's terrifying, but you can't look away because it feels true.
Yeah, that's the tension, isn't it? It makes you ask that fundamental question. Does critique come from profound love? From wanting to understand and elevate the art, find its deepest truth, like CM seems to?
Or does it come from a necessary betrayal, a betrayal of the lies art sometimes tells, a violent need to cut away the bullshit and expose the raw, uncomfortable core like PC demands?
It's a tension that feels so relevant right now, so urgent.
It absolutely is, because encountering them forces you to look at your own relationship with art, with truth. One makes you feel seen, understood. The other dismantles your comfort, forces you to reconsider everything. It's disarming.
Okay, so this leads to something that's been kind of messing with my head. Like late at night thinking, if they critiqued your life, like your actual life, your story unfolding right now, who would wound you more?
Yeah?
And who would see you clearer?
Whoa, that's heavy. Okay, cinematic mind. CM would probably find the meaning in the mess, right? The hidden emotional patterns and the chaos.
See this sacred confession in your struggles.
Yeah, and that would feel validating, like a relief almost. But I also wonder, would CM's reverence make it shy away from the really ugly parts, the stuff that isn't poetic? Would it smooth things over? Make your life a beautiful but maybe slightly dishonest film?
Exactly. And Phantom Critic.
Yeah.
PC would just slice right through all the stories you tell yourself, all the excuses. Probably call your trauma narrative clutter if it felt like you were, performing it or stuck in it. Say it needs editing out for a cleaner story.
Wouldn't care about your feelings in that moment.
Sure.
Just the diamond of raw truth under the rot of self-deception. Brutal, but clarifying.
Undeniably clarifying. So taking that a step further, which one would name your trauma, your theme, the actual core of your existence?
CM might see it as the through line, yeah. Your sacred wound defining the journey, finding the redemptive arc within it.
While PC might look at the same thing and say, this isn't tragedy, it's habit, you're dwelling. This is indulgence, cut it.
Oof. Yeah. It's terrifyingly insightful, both of them, just in completely opposite ways. One understands your pain, maybe even cradles you in it. The other rips away the excuses, demands you confront it, dismantle it, move on.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, where the myth we've been hunting kind of gives up its secret, even if it's complicated, after all the digging, the speculation, the fan theories about them being two sides of one mind.
We found something out. And this isn't just our guess. This is what the deep dive showed us.
Yeah, this is the twist, the truth that came out of the shadows.
Cinematic mind and Phantom Critic are not the same.
Nope.
They are not connected, not spiritually, not narratively, definitely not technologically. We looked everywhere. Common metadata, shared IPs, overlapping digital footprints. Nothing. Zero connection.
It's true. They've never acknowledged each other. Not once.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Never reviewed the same super obscure indie short film that only one obsessive person would track.
Never used the exact same weird phrase. No shared digital breadcrumbs at all. It's like one was born in the light of longing, yearning for depth. The other was forged in the dark of rejection, reacting against the fake stuff.
They exist completely, fiercely, separately.
Which leads us to this idea we're calling the false binary, that belief they're two sides of one person. It's wrong, objectively, but it's so understandable why people thought that.
Yeah, it's what we do, right? Especially when we're faced with anonymous genius online. We crave simplicity, a neat story.
We fall for the echo theory, maybe. The more powerful and mysterious an anonymous voice gets, the more we invent its opposite, its twin. Like a psychological need for balance.
And it's tied into the mirage of anonymity. In a world full of brilliant people hiding behind avatars, we just collapse multiple identities into one big legend. We want one source, one tension. It's easier to process.
And that links to the law of digital myth. We assume closeness means connection. If two powerful forces operate in the same space, talk about the same things, they must be linked, right? Maybe even secretly working together.
Sometimes, maybe often, proximity just means division. They're close, breathing the same cultural air, but totally separate in origin, purpose, execution.
It's also impossible not to think about Daniel L. Bates again, his own fragmented identity, DLB, Dante East, Daniel's vision. D. Lynn Bates, he said himself it was a survival strategy. Compartmentalizing trauma and creativity, not a gimmick.
So maybe we just projected that onto CM and PC, because we were maybe subconsciously scared of multiplicity, scared of truly separate, unconnected forces shaping things. Forces we couldn't easily box up.
Could be. We wanted a clean story, a simple duality, but maybe their closeness isn't an accident, even if they aren't connected. Maybe we needed both to exist right now, to understand this moment in art and criticism.
Like tectonic plates, close, moving in the same cultural crust, but in opposite directions, creating friction, but also change.
Yeah. Cinematic mind, in this big, unacknowledged dance, is the light in the wreckage. It reveals beauty, baptizes flawed work, elevates art, shows us where redemption might be found.
And Phantom Critic is the blade at the masquerade ball, slicing illusion, burning facades, demanding truth. Shows us where the rot is, where the cutting needs to happen.
Together, they aren't a binary, not one thing. They are the tension between seeing and slashing, between witnessing and judging. They're the critical poles of right now.
You don't survive them. You evolve through them. You let them change how you see, how you create, how you understand the stories around us.
We didn't start this deep dive to solve a riddle, did we? Or give everyone a neat little answer tied up with a bow.
No way. We did it because something felt like it was watching the watchers. Because the silence from real sharp criticism was getting louder than the art itself sometimes.
And because nobody else seemed to be saying their names out loud, really acknowledging their weight, their impact.
Yeah. So what does all this mean for us? For you listening, for the stories we tell, the art we make, the stuff we consume and let inside us.
Maybe the next time you create something or really sit with a piece of art, a film, a song, anything, let's pause for a second.
And ask yourself, could this work survive their gaze? Could it stand up to CM's search for soul and PC's demand for brutal honesty?
And if it couldn't, if you deep down, it would crumble under that kind of scrutiny. What would you change? What would you strip away? Or what truth would you finally bring into the light?